closer to the shores of Norway than Westminster, the Orkney Islands are far removed from the decisions that govern them. But for the people who make a living from these waters, who governs them counts. Shellfish are one of the island's biggest exports, and these lobsters will be shipped south, ending up on the plates of London's restaurants. I travel to Kirkwall to meet the men who catch them, one side making their case obvious from the start. But less clear is whether they and the politicians can reach any agreement. Give us the positive case for independence.
The positive case for independence, well, everything is closer to the people, and we're a country of 5 million, and like Denmark and Norway and these countries, it would just be better run. You're just closer to the seats of power.
I think that there's huge opportunity for people in Scotland to have a greater deal of say in the future of the islands in Scotland and the things that are close to the people who live here, work here.
What are the downside risks for you if the yes side prevail?
Well, it's something that I can't understand. I mean, everybody, all of us here want the same thing. We all want to work away and make things better for ourselves and our families. We all want to have a nice house, a car, holiday now and again, night out occasionally. And 90% of the politicians in Holyrood don't want us to have that.
One of the main arguments from the No campaign is that a United Kingdom is better to do things like police Britain's waters, stand up for Britain on the international stage. Tell us how you think a yes vote will benefit the fishing industry.
Marine Scotland would make a far better job of running fisheries than... I'm sure Robert doesn't agree with this.
I'm having issues with Marine Scotland now.
We all have issues for Marine Scotland, but there would be our issues with Marine Scotland, not a rather remote London-based thing. The fishing industry would, well, it'd be 0.5% of Scottish GDP, whereas I think the strawberry picking industry is higher in the UK terms. So it would have a far better voice and be listened to a little bit more than it is at present.
But how do you square that with the fact that most Scottish politicians are completely anti-fishing? And the bump that we got through the post, you know, for the Scottish Government Yes campaign, detailing all their beautiful rosy plans for the future where everybody's going to get everything for free. They didn't mention the fishing industry.
They're a voice on your behalf.
Yeah.
It's a democratic society we live in. They're a voice on your behalf. You have to go to them and explain to them that this is what you would like to put forward.
There isn't actually, we don't actually live in a democratic country.
Well, I don't think politicians are anti-fishing. I think they're ignorance is not a very good word. They don't have a lot of knowledge about the fishing industry. I mean, the last UK fisheries minister couldn't tell you the difference between a haddock and a whiting, or a haddock and anything, actually. So it's more lack of knowledge of the fishing industry, and I do believe an independent Scotland, one of the things they should have is a dedicated fisheries minister that deals with fisheries. At the moment we're just playing a game, whereas we're handed the money and given the rules to play with, whereas we'll make up our own rules and get our own money. If there is a mess, it's our own mess, not somebody else's mess that we can blame somebody on. It'd be the best thing.
Blame somebody on it, that's the thing.
The best thing could happen to the country, because people's self-belief, I think, if you're running your own affairs, it's just so much better for you and your own feelings and goodness.
Where do you think we would be if we actually got what Scotland wanted and we had the Labour Party in power for the last 40 years? Where do you think we would be? At IMF, that's where it would be. It would be Greece, that's where it would be.
Well, we're not much better off than Greece at the moment, and Ireland can even borrow money cheaper than us at the moment, so I don't really know where you're going with that one, Robert. At least if we were in the common market on our own, at least we'd get into the meetings. The Scottish Fisheries Minister's to sit in a corridor outside at the moment. At least he'll be in the meeting, rather than sitting in a corridor waiting for whoever the UK Fisheries Minister is at the moment.
You're the guy that all the politicians want to talk to right now because you're undecided. What are the sort of issues that are going to help you make up your mind?
Well, we haven't been given enough information to decide. There's far too much unknown to make a big decision like what we're being asked to do. And well, we'll just say this a yes, and it all goes wrong. Where do we go from there? you know, we're very uninformed. We don't have any information what they're going to do with tax, what we're going to do with our health service. You know, how do you decide?
This is a decision that once you've made it forever. There's no going back on this. Does that in any way unnerve you?
Could you name me one country that has left the British Empire? Or if you go to Ireland, if you stood in a platform, let's go and reunify with the UK, I don't think you'd get very many votes. Canada, there's nobody rushing to come back.
We all talk about Scotch whisky, food and drink, fish as being great exports, but of course one of Scotland's biggest exports is people. I mean, Scotland is depopulating. Do you think that if Scotland votes yes, people are going to come back?
There's a lot of potential here for people to stay, I would say, and there's huge potentially economic value around these islands and out in the North Sea, fishing, oil reserves, gas reserves.
If Scotland does vote yes, there are some people in the Shetlands who want their independence. Would Orkney ever want independence from an independent Scotland?
Well, there's already in the pipeline this our islands, our future, you know, splitting off with Scotland or having extra powers.
Only if you vote yes.
Only if you vote yes. And I mean, I couldn't think of a more nightmarish scenario than having the guys in School Place in charge of Orkney. I mean, good heavens.
If it all goes wrong, where do we go? We're okay at the minute. I'm not saying it's great, but we're okay. And, you know, if we vote yes and it all goes bad, where do we stand then?
I don't think you should have any worry about it all going completely pear-shaped. I mean,
yes, you should.
I mean, the whole thing is that we all vote and we all make decisions. You have to make decisions every day of your life. And I mean, if you're closer to the people who are putting forward the legislative side of things when it comes to your decision, then I think you'll be as well placed through Holyrood and Westminster. You're closer to everything that you do on the sea, whether it's entitlements for catching fish, whatever it is. I mean, definitely better placed through Holyrood.
This is a decision forever. You know, this is for your kids, your grandkids. How are you going to face them?
Well, it would actually really worry me if I had to explain to my grandchildren how come Boris Johnson and Nigel Farage were Prime Minister and Vice Prime Minister. That would really worry me more than Alex Salmond and Nicola Sturgeon, or even any lived there. Even that nice Tory lady that used to be there, she'd be even better than any of them. So it's at least she was what you got in the packet. I would be more embarrassed about Boris and Nigel. So that would be my answer to what I'd say to my grandchildren. I voted yes.